Imagine standing on the banks of like a really wide river, and you are watching a massive forest fire just raging on the opposite side.
Yeah, terrifying, but also, kind of distant.
Right, exactly. You feel the heat, you maybe see the ash falling, but you don't feel actual fear because the river is protecting you.
At least you think it is.
Right, until suddenly the fire jumps the water. So today's deep dive is into a text that completely shatters that exact illusion of safety. We're looking at a 6th century BC prophecy.
Ezekiel 32, right?
Yeah, Ezekiel 32. And it tackles human arrogance and, honestly, our modern tendency to just watch the world burn as long as it is, not in our own yard.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's unpack this. The imagery kicks off with God telling Ezekiel to sing a lament for Pharaoh, the king of Egypt. And, it gets incredibly visceral.
Oh, visceral is definitely the word for it. The text immediately exposes this massive gap between Pharaoh's self-perception and reality. Pharaoh looks in the mirror and sees a majestic lion of the nations.
The undisputed apex predator of the ancient geopolitical jungle.
Exactly. But God describes him as a thrashing sea monster instead.
Which is quite the downgrade.
It really is. God describes him as a dragon bursting out of the rivers, just splashing around and completely fouling and, muddying the waters with his feet.
It is like a modern CEO who has surrounded himself with so many yes men that he honestly thinks his chaotic, impulsive decisions are a brilliant strategy.
Yeah, he walks around thinking he is a visionary lion.
Right. But to the frontline workers dealing with all the fallout, he is just a thrashing sea monster capsizing the company's daily operations.
That is a great way to put it.
And in the text, God essentially says he's going to put an end to all that splashing. He promises to throw a dragnet over this sea monster, haul him onto dry land for the birds and beasts, and just utterly darken the sun, moon, and stars.
Which is a cosmic level collapse.
Yeah, it really is. So what does this all mean for the people watching this giant fall?
Well, that brings up a really fascinating psychological phenomenon that a Korean proverb actually captures perfectly. It translates to watching a fire from across the river.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, it describes witnessing a massive crisis, but feeling zero personal danger. Because, there's a physical barrier between you and the flames.
Like watching global economic collapses or distant wars on a screen.
Exactly. You treat it with total indifference. It is someone else's problem, their fire.
Wait, but if we apply that to the text, shouldn't the surrounding kings, like the ones watching Egypt's fire from across their own rivers, shouldn't they just be relieved?
You would definitely think so.
Yeah, their biggest geopolitical rival is being taken out. But here's where it gets really interesting. Verses 9 and 10 show the exact opposite of that bystander mentality.
They were absolutely terrified.
Yes, it says these kings were horrified, their hair was bristling, and they were trembling every single moment for their own lives. Why panic if they were safely across the river?
Because of the underlying mechanism behind Egypt's fall, you have to remember, Egypt wasn't just a strong nation.
Right, it was a superpower.
An ancient superpower that seemed honestly mathematically impossible to overthrow. So when it suddenly collapses, the surrounding nations realize this isn't just a standard geopolitical shift.
Or bad economic policy.
Right. This is divine judgment by the Creator. God used the rising Babylonian Empire as the literal dragnet to haul Egypt out of the water. Verse 15 spells out the realization perfectly.
What does it say?
It says, "Then they will know that I am the Lord."
Oh, wow. So the sheer impossibility of Egypt's defeat is what terrified them.
Exactly.
If it had just been a normal military loss, they could have, analyzed it, upgraded their own defenses, and just moved on.
But knowing Babylon was acting as an instrument of divine judgment against human pride, well, that changes everything. It completely shatters the bystander illusion.
Ah, so the surrounding kings suddenly realized the fire wasn't bound by geography.
Yeah, if God could drag the great Egyptian sea monster out of the Nile for opposing him, that fire could easily cross the river to their shores next.
If they shared that same arrogance.
Precisely.
It makes you wonder about your own life, doesn't it? When we watch a competitor fail or a colleague stumble, it is so easy to sit safely on our side of the river and think our own little kingdom is untouchable.
We read these ancient biblical warnings and treat them as distant historical events meant for, other people.
Yeah, we really do.
And the ultimate takeaway here is that we have to step out of this illusion of total control. When we see the consequences of pride playing out around us, we can't afford to just be spectators.
Right.
We are being challenged to approach those warnings with humility and a willingness to actually adjust our own course, rather than just assuming we are immune.
Which leaves us with a final thought for you to chew on. If Pharaoh's ultimate downfall was being dragged out of the very rivers he himself had selfishly muddied, what if the muddy waters of our own busy, self-reliant routines are exactly what prevent us from noticing the fire approaching our own shores?